Today we had a very inspiring conversation with a very good friend, an old friend that I would love to spend more time with, both socially and also on camera, because he has a lot to teach. Tomi Kaukinen from License to Fail is quite an interesting person who has a lot to teach, and even more, I think, than he realizes himself. And I hope that you will enjoy this very wide-ranging conversation, reaching from basic education, how he failed to continue high school, to realizing why he actually needed to have a top-notch education at the Stockholm School of Economics, starting a company and becoming a really powerful entrepreneur. You can learn a lot from him officially on license2.fail and also through his documentaries on YouTube. But today we are touching a little bit about everything, philosophizing also a little bit about a few topics, having basically a deeper background about a variety of things that I hope that we can continue focusing in on in upcoming episodes. For now, please enjoy the conversation with Tomi Kaukinen. Tomi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
This has also been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We've known each other for how many years? At least since 2012.
Yeah, in our first startup, we were in the same same space in Fredrikinkatu.
Yeah, and you approached me and saying that we're colleagues from the Stockholm School of Economics. Different year, but then we got to know each other in Finland.
Did you go before or after me? Before. I signed in 2002.
I still it was 2001.
Okay, so you're 1 year elder on that.
Yeah. So we're both from Stockholm, more or less, but our parents, your both parents are from Finland.
Yeah.
And my mother is from Finland. And we both moved back and we got to know each other here. And then we had our very different paths. I think when I have followed you publicly, you're a very public figure in Finland. And mostly you speak in Finnish. Having Swedish still as your first language.
Yeah.
So I've been following a lot of your thoughts and your speeches and so on. And it somehow clicked to me that I feel that you have had, let's say, the opposite starting path compared to me. So I was very focused on school. I loved school. I had a very good progress in school, top grades, top student of my classes all the time. Since maybe 7th, 8th grade, and then the top student of my city, and then straight ahead into Stockholm School of Economics. Let's start with your path from high school age, maybe early teens.
Yeah. Not at all like that.
How you came to Stockholm School of Economics.
Not at all like that, my friend. So for me, I was the best in class until 6th grade.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was always in the top. But then there was a fateful year of 1991, and all the people who love music can relate to what happened in 91. Within the span of I think it was like 44 days or something. Albums which were released were Metallica's Black Album, Nirvana Nevermind, Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, Pearl Jam 10, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood, Sex, Sugar, Magic. So when music scientifically actually hits you the most, which is between the ages of 13 to 17, which is the music you relate to most in your life. When I turned, God damn it, 12, 13, that batch of music came out and it touched me so hard that I just, got totally in love with first Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. And I started painting with like a big, marker pen. I wrote like Nirvana and then, Black Album. Then James Hetfield became my house god. And I got a bass guitar as a present from my confirmation. That's the only reason why I went to do a confirmation to get gifts.
Yeah, that's the Swedish approach.
Yeah, not to create a bond with God.
Yeah.
And then I started playing hard rock music and stuff, and school just went to shit. Sorry for swearing, but yeah.
No worries. At what age did you start playing?
I think it was like 13. And then we had this grunge band and heavy metal band and all that stuff. And
what year was that? So you're a little bit older than I am, I think.
I'm born 79.
Okay, 2 years older. Because when did Reload and Reload come out?
That's 95, 96.
Oh, much later.
Yeah, much later.
Because my friends, I had 3 best friends. They were all like into all of that.
Yeah.
Also into football. I was just practicing the things. Like I was playing the piano, I was playing the violin, I was practicing football like a lot. I really loved it. Like, so I was very active. But I was not a fanatic of anything. So I just, no, I have to go and do the schoolwork.
Yeah.
We have an exam or whatever. So I was very focused. Like, top priority for me was always school. Even my football coach had to call me once and say, you have to come to practice because we have a game on Saturday and I want to pick you for the game. And I was like, we have an exam, so I have to study. No, but you have to come to the game also. So now, I have to do both. But then I was never really I didn't become really the best at anything because I was doing everything.
Yeah.
So I was missing that, but my friends were inviting me to play the bass for them. So we practiced a little bit. I was like maybe 10, 12 at that time.
Yeah, it's the same age.
But I didn't really learn anything. So, and now I feel that I lost this thing. So I'm trying to play the piano again, like improvise and learn. I'm composing like simple songs and so on. But I missed that part because I didn't continue any band. I didn't really immerse myself in music, and music is such a big thing, and I couldn't connect. So I was like, yeah, great music, but I need to go and study. So
yeah, no, I had the opposite.
But you were in the right age then, so that's kind of, I think it's a critical thing for preteens, teens, early teens to find that thing.
Yeah, but this is one thing when I do my speaking tours for kids and in high schools and upper secondary and stuff. If this would have happened in basically another country, which is not Europe, let's say United States, that would have been my life. Because I decided not to go to the upper secondary, is it high school or what you call from ages like 15 to 18.
Yeah.
I decided to skip that and just do my own stuff. And
what did you do then? Because you were really into your band.
when you're not educated, you end up in construction work.
Yeah.
So I did construction and like all these horrible jobs, asbestos sanitation, and for a very low salary, and I just hated my life. And I after 3 years, I started thinking, okay, maybe I'm wasting potential because I know I have the capacity to actually study, and I'm always been very interested and curious and reading a lot. Also as a kid, I think I read 20 Stephen King books before I turned 13, 14.
Wow.
So I was reading a lot. So it started to feel like my life is going down the drain. So here's where the Nordics especially comes in. You can afford. I'm not saying you should do it, but you can afford to screw up in your teens and correct it. In the States, maybe not so much.
Would you say even that you should maybe experiment already in your teens?
Well, the reason there is a difference between Finland and Sweden in terms of higher education. So if you go to let's say university or college or whatever it is, in Sweden, the way you apply is through your average grades from high school, or it's high school, upper secondary, yeah. That's how you get in. So schools, as you know, have what is called the GPA, or so to speak, the average that you have. And then that average, the time when I was studying was from 5 to 20, 20 being the highest, MVG, mycket väl godkänt, it was called. So, and the top schools were basically having everything from 18 to 20. The not so popular schools were having maybe 18 to 15 or 14, depending on popularity. So the more demand, because the supply was fixed, the more demand, the higher the grades. So all the best schools required that your high school grades were high. In Finland, you could actually go through with average grades and then do the entry exam and get in. So the problem with Sweden was at that point is that if you kind of screwed up your high school, you were locked out of a lot of universities, and you couldn't get in unless you did, studied up your grades or did this high school exam, or this college exam that we have in Sweden that is a general exam. So for me, I got this horrible anxiety when I was, I think, 19. I was like, my life is going down the drain. And then I started looking at these catalogs, back then, before internet had penetrated the society as much as today. So I started reading these catalogs, and I found, a lot of schools like School of Technology, and Stockholm University, and all these sorts of stuff. And I looked at the grades. I didn't care about economics, but then when I saw Stockholm School of Economics, a school, which I didn't even heard of, and I noticed that it was standing out quite a lot in this catalog. And I was like, what is this place? And then, there was some sort of statistics box there, which stated that, 97% of the graduates get a job before writing their thesis. I was like, oh, what? That sounds pretty
and a really good job.
And also, in the same fact box, I think there was they have the highest median salaries in Sweden. And that kind of stuck to me. I was like, how is this possible? It's like, what is this mystery school? And I started doing research, and I understood that basically, all the CEOs of the big companies, a lot of politicians, there was this musical artist Takabu that went to Handels,
Christian Luuk.
Yeah, Christian Luuk. I was like, what is this school? And it just was shrouded in this mystery of famous people and these really hardcore performers. And I was like, okay, I think I need to, get here because it seems to be opening a lot of doors. Because I was thinking about, becoming an engineer. I was in KTH, in the Royal School of Technology, and went to some sort of open night. And I was interested in technical physics. Which was one of the kind of hardcore things that people were studying. And I was only interested in because, it was such a hard thing. For me, it was I want to do something hard.
So you had that already then, because that's what you're promoting now.
Yeah.
With, against AI, let's say. We'll talk about that later. But so you really had that already at 19?
I wanted to do hard things.
Yes. And why, do you think?
At that point, I think... I wanted to show myself and others as well that
you knew you could do something.
Yeah, because I got annoyed when I was working in the construction and with this business. I got annoyed when people looked at me as just another asbestos sanitation guy, and I was like, "Well, I'm not, really that guy. I'm a smart guy," but they were like, "No, because you're a goddamn asbestos sanitizer."
You have to practice as you preach.
Yeah. So I was like, this is unfair because I have potential. But, if you don't realize that potential, you're going to be seen as this person. So in my head, I was smart
but
and
you were
driven.
really smart and overly mature because you were too mature for school, I would say. Because you read more than people read in school. I'm sure you read more than I read, but I read the books to memorize all content in the textbooks.
Yeah.
So I got top grades just by reading.
No, I read a lot on my free time.
So
already.
I'm saying that you would have maybe graduated a bachelor's degree somewhere in some literature studies. And so,
maybe, I don't know.
And that's where I feel school is so misguided.
Yeah, so I went back and I got the possibility in the Nordics. So I went back and went to, this Komvux, which is like the basically high school, but you can do it as an adult. Yeah. Because I couldn't get back to the high school anymore.
Recovery school.
Yeah. So I went there and after all these visits in schools, I saw that Stockholm School of Economics had a GPA of, I think, 19.85 or something. It was almost 20. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so I can't have a single, basically A- or a B in order to get in.
Yeah, so one is maybe too many.
So you get 20, 20, 20, 20. And if you got 115, which was the next one, you might be out.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to go back to school. And I decided I need to do it in 2 years because I really want to go there. So I made kind of my schedule for 2 years. So I had 8 in the morning until 9 in the evening, from Monday to Thursday. And then, Friday was an easy day from 8 to 4. And then I just studied. And after 2 years, I got my 20 straight A's. And I was panicking during school because I remember I was reading one course. It was called Swedish C. So it's kind of the Swedish language advanced, which required us to do a little bit of analysis of something. And I chose to do analysis of like political stances in, Swedish media or something. And she gave me like this VG 15. So I got that in my second year after 1.5 years. And I was like, this grade is going to make sure I don't get in. So I went to the teacher and I said, look, I can't have this grade. It's like it's gonna ruin my future. I was totally dramatic.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. So I was like, give me something hard, and I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, maybe you could try to interview some of these people. And I was like, okay, fine. So I called. I bought Aftonbladet, kind of a newspaper, probably biggest in the Nordics, and I looked out the person who was running the editorials, and that guy was Jan something. So I looked up his number, I called him, and I said, give me a 5-minute interview. And he was like, who are you? I was like, I'm a student, please give me this. And
really, you were a real entrepreneur, sales guy already back then.
I was panicking.
Yeah.
So I called him and he was very busy and he seemed annoyed, but he gave me some answers. And then I wrote this interview for the teacher and I said, look, I called this guy. He's a big shot. Yeah. And I got him to answer these questions. He was like, okay, you'll get your, 20 for this course. And that guy then turned out to become the chief editor of Aftonbladet and the CEO of SVT, the Swedish, what's his name? Jan, I don't remember his name. But yeah, anyway. So I got in to Stockholm School of Economics, and I remember how bizarre that was, standing in the middle of Stockholm on Sveavägen 65. I'm, from the suburbs. My parents are not academics. Yeah. My father has been a janitor and a technical, like, not even consultant, but like a technical person in AstraZeneca. He was fixing their machines. And mother, done everything from janitoring to cleaning to basically all sorts of weird jobs. And I stood there, and you know how it is. I was standing outside, and I see all these kind of backslick dudes with like suits on and being like super. I was like, oh my God, I don't belong here. I'm from the suburbs, from this broken family, and all these people are so secure and they're so confident. But I was like, well, I got my 20 in grades, so I think I belong here. And then I was lucky to immediately find a couple of guys there who were really laid back, Otto and Oscar. And we just sat there and laughed at all these guys. And I was like, okay, I found my crowd.
Your crew, yeah.
But the funny part was that Oscar, one of the guys who was laughing all this, he himself is a count.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a count, so everything is so absurd, and that kind of shows the Stockholm School of Economics kind of student base. There's like barons and counts and blue blood and all this stuff, and you're sitting there like, is this a movie or what the hell is this? So it's very cliche.
Yeah. I did meet a few people from other backgrounds as well, and found more or less my crew as well. But you have really everything. But the key thing, my question for you then, when you got in, you felt maybe, do I belong or not? You knew you wanted the outcome maybe. But during the study times, you majored in finance. And did
because it was the hardest.
Exactly. So my question is, did you focus on studying then as opposed to, let's say, enjoying your time at university? Because I got to give you my parallel, so I was not the best in class in grade 6, but in grade 8, 9, I became...
We have like inverted.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I know you more than you know me because you write publicly so much, which I don't do yet. And at the same time, I've seen that the stories still converge somehow, and we have similar opinions nowadays about many things. So we can talk about some of those.
Yeah.
But at university, I really said, okay, why am I studying so much? After the first year, I was like, I can't ace all these exams anymore.
No, it was
I can't
hard.
memorize
No.
these
Hard.
textbooks anymore. So I started losing motivation. So why am I studying so much? So then I started getting engaged in all student unions, extra activities. So I was running the Noble Nightcap in 2002 when you came.
I remember.
I wasn't running it, but I was the logist. I signed up as a driver, like a first-year student.
Yeah.
I signed up as a driver. So I was just driving this minivan and getting stuff from, talking about SVT, from the theater plays and stuff to decorate the whole Stockholm School of Economics into this amazing after party of the Nobel.
Yeah, I remember because Daniel Kahneman actually had a lecture in Stockholm School of Economics, and I got his autograph in one of my
Thinking Fast and
macroeconomics
Slow.
books. Because Thinking Fast didn't exist.
So
back
I'm really
then.
looking for signatures from that's like my big thing only thing that I'm collecting, signatures by the authors of these big books. So I need someone like him to sign my book.
I gave it to him. I think it was my macroeconomics book.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was Paul Krugman's or whoever it was. And I remember Daniel Kahneman was looking at it. He's like, "This is not my book. this is macroeconomics." I was like, I don't have anything else. And then he signed it, but I don't know where it is now.
But was that year 2002?
Yeah.
Wow, because so I just signed up as a driver, but then this guy who was running all the logistics and transportation department had to focus on something else, and he asked me because I was like driving like crazy and enjoying it. So I was just doing the work. Like I really enjoyed working also. So then he asked me if I could run the transportation team. So I just had to lead the other, like let's say first year students, the other drivers. So which I did, and that was like a fantastic experience. And we did that with like 300 students taking part of this as a voluntary project. And then in the end, the final hours or the final days before the actual event, all the other drivers just went to the party and just started enjoying and relaxing. And I was like, yeah, the responsibility was mine now to do the rest. So I just remember driving still stuff back and forth when the party had already started because I was the only driver left.
Yeah.
But then I got this award afterwards as the hardest working student for the Noble Nightcap.
Nice.
And I was like, that was like a real award for real work. That was completely opposite of the grades that had come from just reading stuff. So
practical.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got more practical, and then I took a break from Handels after my second year and went to Colombia to teach English for a year. And that's where my real learning journey started from my perspective. Of course, you can combine a lot of things, but this is kind of where I'm now, like in this balance. I'm seeking this balance between academia and practical things where entrepreneurship is like at the center, I think. And I want to explore a lot of topics with you also afterwards and maybe in follow-up episodes on camera. But really, I'm curious about your experience at Handels. So, because you had been off school during your teenage years, were you really, like, let's say, focused on school your entire Handels years, or did you also enjoy life like with the practical aspects? Because the student unions are amazing at universities. There's so many other things that you can do, like also connecting with people and starting projects and, you know, the startups that usually start at university, but outside of university hours.
Yeah, I mean, for me, most of my school time was just you know, I of course I enjoyed certain of it. I was extremely proud to be the first academic in my, you know, family. I was extremely proud to go to Handels, to Stockholm School of Economics, because it was, you know, such a small group of people who actually got in. So I was just, you know, almost, you know, swelling with pride when I wore my Handels shirt. I was, you know, so excited about it because it was so far away from what I've grown up with. I've grown up with, you know, alcoholism, and criminal stuff. I come from a suburb which is extremely restless. There's a lot of violence, and even higher education was just like something you never talked about. There was nobody in our neighborhood, with higher education. They were like construction workers, and if somebody bought a Mercedes with some money from their construction, it was kind of illegal money or something like that, and you kind of looked up to them, and there was no sound reference point in my life. Basically, my parents didn't care if I would educate myself or anything. They were just happy if I stayed out of trouble, which I did not. So I was just incredibly proud to be there, but at the same time I was extremely keen on getting out from school and into work life. So when this is some crazy stuff that's going on in schools in general, after the first 6 months in Handels, somebody dropped, the following. Do you know that, a Handels Stockholm School of Economics degree is not enough to get a job anymore, despite they saying it's 97%. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, no, you got to have double degrees, man. I was like, what? Yeah, double degrees. I was like, what do you mean? So I have to go study in another school, And they was, yeah. So I was like, oh. And then I found out there was this kind of society in Handels called like the double... the economics lawyers, Handelsjuristerna,
Yeah.
and these. I was like, my job is not guaranteed, so I was panicking. So I signed up for law school in Stockholm University, and because I was so scared of not getting a job, so I started studying, two major degrees at the same time. So I was, taking the bus between Handels and the Stockholm University and studying law school, and then going back. And I did that for a year, and then I was like, I'm running out of capacity here.
And I felt I was running out of capacity studying one degree at the time, and I felt that I was studying too much and having too little practical things.
Yeah.
So before you continue, because I really want you to continue from there, this thought experiment. What if SSE Business Lab had already been a big thing at the time? Because it became a big thing when Sebastian Siematukowski and his Klarna started out as Kreditor 2006, 5, 6, 7 when I started my double masters actually. So Sebastian was about to start his double masters with me at the same time. We did this assessment center together. And then he didn't come back after summer for class, but he came as a lecturer showing his startup case that they had just got invested in. And I really connected with the thing, but on a theoretical level. So we had a blocked seminar 1 week about entrepreneurship. So we were reading books about entrepreneurship, the psychology of an entrepreneur. And I'm connecting with a lot of things that I want to do, with my life, like something big, not only academic, but not completely non-academic. So science-based entrepreneurship kind of became my thing many, many years later. But I didn't have the practical implementation opportunity or drive or knowledge, or didn't know how to put things in practice. And I feel that I would have benefited from something entrepreneurial at the same time as I started university, or after 1-2 years, or at least after my break 1 year teaching, because then I really fell in love with education on a deeper level. But as a macroeconomist, I had to still continue learning to figure out, okay, what was I going to do my entrepreneurship about? Because also, at high school, I was thinking you had this ung företagsamhet, UF, young entrepreneurship. And I was like, I really want to do something like that. But I didn't have an idea. I didn't know what to do a company about. So I didn't have any reference points when it comes, what I lacked was reference points regarding entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I feel that you're like a natural born entrepreneur, if you could say so.
No.
Okay, so that's an interesting point.
Yeah, no.
Because I'm just thinking about your drive, and you really learned a lot on your own outside of school, reading all these books, and maybe if you had a reference point or a club for anyone who doesn't like school, make a project, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And that becomes like an entrepreneurial project, and you can make money. So you don't have to get a job. So your fear of not getting a job, you were thinking like an employee. But if you had this mindset shifted like in your early teens that, you can start your own company which will give you the job. So you give yourself the job. So you don't have to wait for anyone else. And that's what I feel like we're stuck with still, with this employee mentality, where in the future, I think the only way to survive is to create your own company, create your own employment.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, for me, it was only getting away from the suburbs, getting a good, well-paying job. And, I was dreaming of going to London to work, going for the investment banks. And I had 2 interviews there.
And when did that come? Because before Handels, you didn't know about maybe that.
No, I didn't know at all.
But you got really into that during Handels, during SSE.
The thing is that I went to Handels basically for the reason that it would open doors for me. I did never really like economics that much. That was kind of like, okay, this is good information.
I didn't know what economics and business were. I didn't know the difference between economics and business. When I started, I was had this path basically designed by my dad, an academic medical professor. But I learned a lot of things during, but more things after graduating. So I want to get your perspective on, okay, when did you get into... first, you decided for finance because it was the hardest. Was that the only reason, or did you get this interest? You had this. Was it a real dream to go to London? Money. So that was still a drive. Okay, I need to get money.
Yeah. Because I come from not very wealthy family.
Yeah.
We've been doing fine, but living still in like a shitty suburb and not having money. So for me, making money was really important. So after 1 year of studying both, I sat down and thought, okay, if I now choose one of these, if I choose law school, okay, what's that gonna mean for me? I liked actually law school much more than I liked economics because I thought it was intellectually stimulating. You had to argue, you had to find out loopholes, you had to figure out both sides of a case, and you have to interpret the law. I think it was super interesting. So I really fell in love with law. But I decided that if I would stick to law, then I would become, this associate in a law firm, then go up, and I would get more stuck in a certain kind of branch of business than Stockholm School of Economics would allow me, because in Sweden, Stockholm School of Economics, it's such a powerful school to go to, because you basically, if you send out your CV and you are from Stockholm School of Economics, you will always be chosen before someone from different schools. And that's a fact. So it's almost like a secret society kind of vibe going there. So I decided, okay, I have more possibilities in there. So I went back to Stockholm Economics and I took extra courses in law, especially tax law, which I thought was super interesting because knowing tax law, I feel, gives you superpowers in society.
But this insight, this knowledge, I mean, it's very advanced that you got as early 20-something-year-old. So, I mean, I'm realizing these things in my 40s, that, okay, maybe I should study those things as well.
No, I mean, I don't know.
After
I think
like the entrepreneurial round and you learn from real experience in life. So I want to, let's say, give you credit for something that I don't know what it is, like because really early on you realized what you were kind of interested in somehow, but maybe you don't know it consciously.
No,
So that's what I'm trying to learn. Like, how did you know these things that, okay, I want to do it. So why did you, because law, I mean, my brother, he was took some courses at Handels, but he chose law.
Oh.
And now he doesn't have any hair left. So he kind of, got stuck.
Yeah. No,
but has a fantastic future ahead, I hope. But he's in his 40s and he's still like in this career race to the top.
Yeah.
But where I see that, okay, you can break free from that if you run your own show. And I see that you have a lot of insights that you're talking about a lot of them in your speeches, but already then, so what did you actually learn at Handels? Because I see that academics is a fantastic complement to the practical experience that you can get before or after studying. But you have also said at some point that you should study before you start a company.
Yeah.
Recently.
I stand by it.
Yeah, and I
will explain to you why.
I almost commented in LinkedIn, but I think I'll talk about this when I meet you.
I'll tell you why.
That why not hand in hand, and why not the practical experience before? Because I would argue that you reached your bottom before you studied. And most people never reach that bottom because they have a safety net through studies and similar things. And then even in normal life, you never really burn out, which we can also talk about. And I think you had this bottom experience, like in the metro station, cleaning up that mess. So that kind of realization is practical. You cannot get that from a textbook.
Yeah, sure.
And you cannot get that at the best university in the world.
No.
So there's a lot of realizations and insights that you have somehow. And I'm trying to understand where they come from. So because I want to also, as an educator, talk about these things and study these things and teach about these things.
No, I mean, for some reason, I think this was October 2002, the first exam we had in Handels, it was microeconomics. It was part of the base package. So the first was this kind of, it was the economics package. It was micro, macro, international, and then I don't remember the fourth, but it was kind of this block of, and the last, there was 5 questions in this exam. And the last question of microeconomics exam was, what similarities do a peacock have with a degree from Handels? That was question number 5.
Really?
Yeah. And I after 23 years, I still remember that question.
I don't know if I got that question, but...
Yeah, and the answer is both the peacock with its tail and the graduation from Handels are signaling mechanisms. They signal something. And that's something from the microeconomics. It's a signaling. You signal something.
Yeah.
And this is the reason... one of the reasons why I think education is such an important thing to go through, because it provides you, first of all, a fallback. It's something that no one can take away from you.
Yeah, if you finish. Yeah, but that's a big if. And my problem is that...
And I want people to finish.
But my problem is that the reality is that dropout rates are higher than ever.
Yeah,
so people don't finish. So,
good for the ones who do graduate.
So the root problem is deeper than that. So first of all, the education system is not catching up with reality of society.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of regulation that can be managed, let's say with AI, with the technology, with smartphones. But it should, in my view, be educational.
The point I'm making, which is contrary to a lot of these intelligent people on the internet talking about, is education first, entrepreneurship later. And the reason why it's like that, because you will have a fallback. If you go to school, get an education, nobody can take that away from you. And then if you start a company and you fail, which is very, very likely, you will always have that degree to rely upon. And the world is becoming increasingly competitive. You have China, you have other countries, India, with a lot of highly educated people coming out. And you're now competing more and more in the Nordics, for example, for positions with people who are even not from here, but have very good grades and very good schools as a backup. So unless you have that education, and you start a company, and you might fail, which is very, as I said, very likely. You fail, you are out of the race for getting a good position, because companies like KPMG or Big Four, whatever you want, they will require a university degree.
Yeah, I would say that like, as your friend or someone said that, you have to have 2 degrees. So I would say that the degree is not enough. It will never be enough.
Yeah.
It's no guarantee. And that's like the big if that I want to address, that even now in basic education, we have dropouts in high school level. It's not going in any positive direction at the moment. Yeah. And when AI is taking the first entry-level jobs away from all university graduates, that's a fact that society is developing so fast that when you get stuck in a slow education system, your education is so slow. So I want to really semantically differentiate between education and learning and development, because I really think you have to learn and develop.
Yeah.
But there's also alternative degrees that I think are not existing at the moment that should come, so that you can show that, okay, I know this stuff and I can do it better than the Stockholm School of Economics graduate who has not done anything. And even if I start a company that fails, and most people should not start a company, that's not my recommendation. Maybe 1% succeeds, or maybe 99% should not start a company, but maybe you should join a company. Maybe you should join a company. You should join and support an entrepreneur who's really a leader, a visionary, who knows what he's talking about, who actually also has experience. Because when you have these graduates who start companies, we have a couple of colleagues that we don't know, they're much younger than us, who started like an AI app for law. I don't know anything about it, so I really don't know what I'm talking about. But let's say that this is an example of my, like metaphorically speaking, that when you have no experience in law, you study economics and you make an app, you have like a genius programmer that makes the app for you, and you try to give advice to lawyers who have like 20 years experience in the industry. Maybe you should have this guy in your company, maybe developing the app instead of you. And while you study and learn, you can test things and learn. Because let's say that the entrepreneurial path is also a valid education path. So 10 years of entrepreneurship, or let's say 5 years, I would say teaches you more.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm just saying.
So the fallback would be your experience. So you also had a fantastic comment that I also wanted to build on with the IP that gets in by your learning experience.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's the value.
Yeah, but
what you
getting
study,
education is just buying an insurance.
I would say that it depends also on what kind of, let's say, university you study at.
Yeah.
If you didn't study at Stockholm School of Economics and you're in Sweden, yeah. Then maybe why did you waste 5 years studying? Maybe you need 6 years, and you might not be the best student. When you are a really practically oriented person, and you could help a startup founder as his assistant, and then get a very good income through that.
Yeah. Well, the difference is.
And then study. I mean, I'm not excluding studies, because
but I'm saying,
I want you to have to both.
If you put these two in line, studying hard will guarantee you your education. Working hard for a startup will not guarantee you success.
No, but I would say that the only thing that guarantees learning and development is practical experience.
I totally agree with you.
And I would prioritize learning and development before education. So I'm very proud of my double degree from Handels, like really proud. But I prioritized becoming an entrepreneur in Colombia, skipping school for some time, learning about real stuff, as an English teacher first, and then as an education entrepreneur, actually representing the first Estonian edtech company as a pioneer, bringing it to there while I was finishing my studies.
Yeah.
I had to travel back to Sweden like 7 times to finish my last exam and hand in my thesis, but found through the experience also that, okay, what do I want to do my master thesis around? Low-cost private schools in the slums of Colombia. So from a macroeconomic perspective, I got out of the classroom. I really loved education. I liked helping my friends, but I want to do something bigger. And then as a macroeconomist, so I really connected my studies with my practical experience during my master thesis, thanks to my practical experience and thanks to postponing studies by staying more than I should have, academically speaking.
Yeah, no. So in order to ensure there's no misunderstandings about my philosophy regarding entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I want you to have a philosophy, really. And
all I'm saying is, I'm not saying that education is better than practical. Actually, I think the opposite. The only reason why I think you should get educated is because the high failure risk.
But you say first. I mean, I only care about the word first.
Yeah.
Because
first.
I also promote both.
Yeah.
As much as you can.
But yeah,
I would love to take a degree in law and also finance, masters as an extra degree.
No.
But first, I need to know why I'm doing it.
You're doing it as an insurance.
Yeah, but that doesn't motivate you enough to finish, in my opinion.
No, but most people just want. I would say most people want. Just to get a job, a good, well-paying job, make a career. I'm not one of those people because already after 6 years of graduating, I was working, with investment banks and these kind of firms. I quit.
Yeah.
because it wasn't for me. And now, in contrast to what you're saying, I think everyone should become an entrepreneur because you learn about realities of life as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the best school of life.
In a way,
if
I
you
agree,
say
but
it.
maybe you can be an entrepreneurial, helping someone if you don't have this idea. So I would have loved to join a startup very early on to learn about startup life and learn through that while I was thinking about my own life.
Yeah, and actually, I just
And then a few years later, I would have known how to better maybe start my first company.
yeah, and now a lot of these startups in Nordics are starting to use this American kind of style model where you have the founders associate. So they bring students to do all the basically crap work for the CEO, and they get this kind of learning environment.
That's a very good role.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not. I don't like that. I wouldn't do that because I'm an egotistic
because
person.
You are the founder. Because
I want to work for me.
But you are, for me, the natural-born founder. But let me ask you then, why would you not feel that you would have started a company earlier instead of graduate, like before you graduated, if you had the ecosystem of entrepreneurship around you?
Yeah,
say,
might be.
I mean,
because for entrepreneurship,
I'm analyzing and following these things quite a lot, and think about myself, but then I see you as the inverted version of me somehow in many senses, and that's why I really want to dig deeper into this with you.
It wasn't even the whole like entrepreneurship didn't exist in my world, because I thought they were up until 2011, 12. Before I started my own company. For me, entrepreneurs were some sort of special specimen. Certain weird types of people, like type A personality, crazy people with crazy visions. And I remember when I met these people in my previous job in private equity, I met these weird founders that had sold their companies and stuff, and they were so eccentric and they were so like box-minded and like all over the place. I was like, what is this? So I couldn't relate to those people at all. But then when I quit and became an entrepreneur myself, I was like, and you don't understand how you changed during that journey.
Why did you start the first company, and then why did you burn out in the end?
Basically, the reason why I quit my actually very well-paying job in the middle of career and everything was because I hated it. There was no why. So I found it harder and harder to motivate myself to wake up in the morning, to just sit with Excel and, make money for other people. There was no mission in the job except to, make money.
But you had fulfilled your dream. You had a lot of money on your bank account compared to
I basically...
So you had achieved the dream of making money.
So if I would have...
having an employment.
Yeah, so if I would have, at that age of around 30, shown my life to my 18-year-old version, I would probably be like, oh my God, I'm living the dream. But then when I got to that dream, it was hollow. There was nothing there. And I thought, okay, money has a price. The price of money is how you make it. What do you sacrifice to get that money? And I wasn't willing to make the sacrifice of sitting in this, brain dead work, talking about brain dead subjects. I could not, for my mind, realize that these people in the finance industry actually thought it was fun to talk about yields and IRRs and Excel models and share prices. I was like, this is the stupidest shit ever. Like, I'm not interested in this. I think it's so boring. I was already, reading the Finnish Kauppalehti, the finance newspaper every day, and I was almost falling asleep when I read it. I was like, I cannot be in this industry because it's so boring. So it was just, I hated it. And I was lucky that there was this Finnish Swedish student came in 2011 to work as a summer intern, and he just threw out this idea for me. And I grabbed his idea and I said, let's do this. And I built my first app 1 year after that. So I was tired of life. I was tired of work, despite living basically the dream. I think every student nowadays that study finance would love to work like with JP Morgan, for example. They would see that as a dream job. For me, it was a nightmare job. So I quit.
But the student, he didn't really join, or did he join?
No, we gave him. We agreed that he gets some. He got like 15% of the company, and then when we started,
what did he do?
Nothing. In
his life. So did he study?
He became a math teacher.
Okay, so I would say. So my point from the beginning was that what if he had joined the startup because he had the idea, you had the experience of life, of finance, and what if he had been your third partner? You had another partner.
Yeah.
But if he had been also a partner going full time, postponing studies,
But he didn't want to.
Yeah, so that's kind of the why that he didn't really have yet.
Yeah.
Maybe he wanted to be a math teacher. I don't know. Is he happy now as a math teacher?
Yeah.
So that's where I was seeking my why as a 19-year-old. I went to studies and didn't know why I was studying so much. And if I could have joined you then, I would have been very happy now.
No, you would be miserable.
You would be a very hard boss probably, but I've always said that I'm a very strong follower. But when no one is leading, I have to lead. And then that's why I'm still like a leader now, positioning myself as a thought leader, because there's no one that I can follow, that I respect enough to follow in my industry. So, well, in this podcast, I would love to have partners as well, but now I'm leading it somehow. So, but I would have learned a lot joining a startup like that with someone who was bored in life and who would also be a role model for what I don't want. Like I had role models of people making money and so on, but I also realized that no, I don't want to get stuck as an employee, just going for the paycheck, the higher paycheck, and then if you look at your productivity, like the money per hour worked, it doesn't really show.
No, it's very low.
Impressive.
It's very low, actually.
So I want to go into your key lessons as an entrepreneur that you still now see that, these are the things that we need in life. And then also combining that with health and well-being.
Yep.
So looking at how to be productive in the long run. So I'm having a couple of books here that I want to just reference. So Outlive when it comes to health. And then Indistractable that I've just started reading after Digital Minimalism. And you said you had read it.
Yep.
So how to become indistractable and focus on your stuff. Maybe taking 3-hour walks plus like Nietzsche, and then really there's a comment from Nietzsche in that book, or a quote around saying something like only the thoughts that come out of walking.
Credit no thought that has been perceived whilst not moving freely about.
Exactly. So you have to walk and get the thought when you're walking, and I have enjoyed walking for a few years.
Credit no thought, not born in open air, all whilst moving freely about.
Yeah, so I would understand that as you get the best ideas when you're walking.
Yeah, we know that.
We know that. And also, like yesterday, I was walking to the office. It's a 45-minute walk. I came to the office. I sat there 15 minutes, and then I didn't know what to do in the office. I walked back home 45 minutes. So I did my work like while I was working, my thinking, my strategy, my messaging even. So then I had the smartphone with me, so I really use it a lot when I work. But then sometimes I go for just walks. And then I only take this my new phone. I either don't take a phone or I take a phone that has no distractions. So I'm trying to become more and more indistractable. But since 2014, 15, 16, when I was also creating an app, I realized that notifications is not helping anyone. So we did not have visible notifications in our app. So I don't have my phone on. I don't get phone calls. I don't get distracted easily. But it's something that I try to improve as much as I can. You read this. And how to be, let's say, an optimal entrepreneur without burning out. So if you first summarize everyone can hear your startup experience at other places, but please summarize some highlights, lessons learned, and then your burnout experience and why you're now speaking about it, and then how would you recommend people to function these days?
Well, it's all about the why once again. So and again, Nietzsche, he who has a why can tolerate almost any how. So one of the biggest issues with startups regarding the why is pivoting. So let's say you figure out that, okay, this is the company this is the problem I want to solve, and I want to do it with this my company. And then you release version, 1.0. You get financing for that idea. You launch it, you work with it for 6 months, a year, and the final verdict of that product, for some reason, there's no market for it. It doesn't work. So you change traction. You notice that, okay, maybe, as in when Instagram started, they had this kind of Foursquare type thing, and they noticed that people were sharing pictures, and they took that and made it Instagram. So the same thing happens with a lot of startups, is that you have to change your focus or product at some point. It's very rarely that the product you actually, conceive or start with is the one you end up with. So you're going to pivot. So the problem with this pivoting is, if your initial vision doesn't pan out the way you want, you might be so lured in by the whole startup experience. You think it's so much fun. You think it's great. So you kind of slide off a little bit from your, core why into something else, because, you're now in the scene, you're excited and everything. So what I would suggest, because this happened to us, I was doing in the sports sector, we're doing an app working with Spanish football clubs and, doing a lot of stuff, and it didn't work out the way we wanted. So we took parts of that app and turned into another product. And that's where I kind of lost the why. And it became more of a survival of just doing something. So at every pivoting stage, when you realize that, okay, this specific thing didn't work, I'm going to do this next thing, you need to ask yourself, is this something that I could commit to for the next 7 to 10 years? Because that's what it's going to take to build a successful startup. It's going to take between, maybe 5, 7, 10 years before you can do that exit or whatever you want to do. Are you ready to commit to this? Is it in line with your heart's values, to sound a little bit hippie-ish? Is this something that you will live and breathe for 7 years? If it's not, consider jumping ship or just, going back to finding what you want to do. Yeah. That's one of the biggest learnings.
And if you had not pivoted that time, when you were kind of living the dream, but you had to pivot somehow for some reason. But if you had insisted, okay, the market doesn't understand it yet.
Yeah.
For some industries, that's just crazy talk. But in my industry, that's my opinion.
I think academia versus practical experience is increasingly becoming more and more distant. Academia has kind of, branched out to a lot of insane stuff. A lot of weird theories are coming out of universities nowadays, which have no ground in reality. Partly due to, postmodern philosophy, Derrida, a word can have many meanings, etc. So universities nowadays, I'm not saying, the technical universities perhaps, but in general, there seems to be a growing skepticism towards what academia can offer in terms of a mirror towards reality and practical life. It seems that practicality is moving away from institution and academia is kind of bound in its own little bubble of theories that they reinforce by quoting each other in peer reviews and all the stories.
Exactly.
While reality is working totally in a different direction. Yeah. And the fact is, life happens in reality, not in your textbook. It's reality that gives you immediate feedback for your stupid decisions. You get smacked when you do mistakes in your startup. Your cash account's going to suffer. It's going to hurt. You're going to meet psychos who are gonna be mean to you. You're going to get slapped. This is life. Life doesn't happen in theory. I'm very passionate about this because the more entrepreneurial I became, the more I started laughing at all these theories that we learn. 2, its defense, I have to say studying finance at least gave me tools that I still use. In finance, most of it is irrelevant, probably for real life. It's a lot of theories, but certain stuff I actually had very big use of, which is like cash flow analyses and stuff like that, DCFs and, doing valuations, because you do it in startups and you understand kind of the big picture of finance. That was really good and very practical. But most of the stuff in university isn't specifically practical. It is, in Swedish you call it allmänbildande. It gives you a view of the world. It makes you smart in kind of that bookly sense, you would say. It makes you, you get a lot of common knowledge. But the application of those theories, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a huge problem now if academia doesn't, get their shit together and start understanding that the whole reason for their existence is to work in practical life. And that's what, the antique guys, Romans, the Greeks, they understood that. Especially the Romans understood the practical stuff. They were very empirical in their kind of mindset.
And they had to be.
Yeah, because reality gives you immediate feedback.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just...
No, but that's what I really agree with. And I would like you to conclude this conversation, because I see there's so many topics I want to talk about. You maybe in more structure, so one topic at a time. But now I'm learning more about your background and some of the topics that you really like to talk about. And let's say if you created your own academia. So I'm looking at the Plato Academy that I really am fascinated about, like how to really educate people for governing the country. Now it's like craziness in politics that has no relation to what you studied.
Yeah.
So anyone can be a politician, and anyone can, with your studies, stop studying and become a millionaire and run the country, like from an entrepreneurship perspective.
Yeah.
So there's no relationship between what the reality is and what the lawmaking is and what you're studying. That's kind of what I see, that we need to kind of synchronize again and, let's say, redo a lot of things. So if you were to, let's say, give a contribution with License to Fail Academy, you made a syllabus of a couple of courses. What would they contain? What would be the courses? So you have already made some courses, like your documentaries.
Yeah.
If you were to promote to just think of some building on these lessons learned and what you would recommend, make some courses for high schoolers. So maybe pre-teens, teens, who really are searching for something more important than what they are taught in school and what they actually should learn, so that they maybe become more motivated or disciplined to study and seek knowledge, reading more books. Because nowadays kids are not reading books like voluntarily, like we used to do in our time, because we didn't really have any other option. So no distractions. So we didn't have the distractions. So we need to take away the distractions. But what would be the courses? So just mention, let's say, 3 to 5 starting courses that you would want to deliver.
Okay. The first, everything would be very practically based. So everything would have to be based in some sort of practical knowledge. I would like the youth to get small wins. I would make them understand that reality happens in reality and not in your textbooks or
what
movies.
Would be the title of that?
That would be, how life works. And they would have to,
Good introduction.
try to sell something to strangers, for example, and get the actual
very practical course.
Very, very practical.
Yeah, we don't see that in school now.
No, exactly. The other one would be the power of concentration.
Very important.
Very important. And I have to highlight...
Let's build on that, because you're really promoting that a lot. So you need to work hard. And I follow Andrew Huberman a lot. Yeah. So the dopamine mechanism is going...
I do Pomodoros every day.
Side down when you have all these distractions and when you're not focusing. Yeah, like Pomodoro, and I think I actually introduced the Pomodoro to you in 2012.
Yeah, maybe. I'm a big fan. I've done thousands.
And you have really become the master in so many things that I still mostly am theoretical about, because I feel that I became too academic. But then I'm really when I have to be, I'm very practical. So, for example, now, like with my Pomodoro timer and so on, I'm like, no, now I'm reading. I don't need to go and put on my timer because that's the distraction. So my tracker, my tracking devices have become my distraction. So then I can sit and read without like count how much I'm reading.
Yeah.
And before, I mean, maybe that was like I started using it like in 2011, I think, to write. So I wrote every morning.
Good.
So to have my writing session.
Yeah.
So I had my first draft. I wrote like 100,000 words, but it's been taking me 11, 12, 15 years to get the second draft. So
it takes
it's
time.
a work in progress, but you also have a book. So let's finalize with your book that you're writing. I don't know if it's public information.
Yeah, I still write it 6 Pomodoros a day.
Fantastic. That's impressive. So, okay, the second course...
Power of Concentration.
Concentration,
and I have to, since you haven't read Ni Real, I'm going to,
Please do.
I'm going to tell you something from that book, which I use when I have my keynotes about distraction and concentrated work. So I always thought that smartphones and computers and all this modern notification stuff was the problem. That's before I read that.
I read like 5 chapters, so I understand.
So what he says, which is totally true, is that the problem isn't all this stuff. The problem is intrinsic. And I take this example. We all remember pre-internet or pre-social media that you sit down, you're studying for an exam, you sit down, you have your books in front of you, you open the book, you start looking at it like this. Then 1 minute passes. And you're like, I'm going to take the Coca-Cola bottle, read the contents of the bottle, you started looking at books in your bookshelf, and there's no smartphone even close to you. Your mind hates concentration. That's why it's a power you have to develop. So basically, our minds hate concentration. Our minds hate doing one thing. So I would say concentrated time is suffering. And our body wants to avoid suffering. So it tries to escape from that suffering situation by distracting itself. The only thing that these modern stuff do is that they relieve us, and we can blame externalities from stuff that actually come from inside us. That's why it's a skill that you need to cultivate, because concentration is hard. It's hard to sit 25 minutes and just focus on one thing. So as I think,
but it's harder with a lot of stuff in your room.
If
you're shut down in total isolation, that's when you get bored and creative as a result.
So time management is basically pain management. So if you can manage your time, you need to manage your pain.
Exactly. So it's very misaligned then to blame kids for being addicted to smartphones and then in class not being able to concentrate, because no one is teaching them how to concentrate. They don't have opportunities even to develop the concentration skill. And
this is the donut test all over again. People who can delay gratification perform better in life. So I think, children should be forced to concentrate. I mean, we shouldn't give them the option of sliding out. We should say, this is how it works. Set clear boundaries. You need to focus now. There's no way you're going to get out of this situation unless you focus.
Someone had this writing tip that today, I mean, if you need to write, or if you want to write, just put the timeline in your calendar that, okay, now you write or you do nothing. So the option is nothing. The only option, like to do your homework or to study or read this book, is nothing. You're allowed to do nothing. But people cannot sit still and do nothing. I mean, this is electric shock example. I think it's in the same book. So people would rather take an electric shock instead of just doing nothing, if that's the only thing that they could do as an option. So if writing is the only thing you can do, sooner or later you will be writing. The writer's block will disappear. For authors, for example. But so the third course.
The third course would be probably some sort of classical education. classical. I mean, we call it classical knowledge, but it's mostly, all too human, because humans have always been the same. We are plagued by the same issues in different formats now. The human is the stuff you read from the Roman times or Greek times. They already figured all of this out, and we think we're, reinventing the human and we're different, and that's just crap. That's not true. I mean, the human condition is always the same. Like, why are we suffering? Why am I here? We're jealous. We argue. We bickle. We constantly are in feuds with each other about certain issues, and it's just the same, as Morgan Housel writes, the same as ever. It's just an infinite loop of humans thinking they've surpassed, the old humans and think the old ones didn't know anything.
No, it's the opposite.
Yeah,
it's the opposite
exactly.
now.
They're just laughing at us from like 2,000 years back. They're like, oh, look at these stupid idiots,
Yeah,
just repeating the same patterns.
Yeah, it's because we don't really have the focus anymore. We don't have opportunity for deep thinking or deep work or doing hard things. So we don't really develop.
Nassim Taleb says the problem isn't that humans don't learn. The problem is that humans don't learn that they don't learn.
That's a good one. That would be a good title for a course also. Okay, let's continue next time. I would love to hear your deeper thoughts on what courses you would actually give, because I would like to actually learn from those courses and also maybe help providing them, recording them with our fantastic producer here, if we can do something like that, because I would really love to have better education for our kids. My kid being a soon 11-year-old, not enjoying school at all, but being really smart, really talented, getting good grades, but doing it because he has to. And he needs to find a why, and the teachers don't know the why, really, in my opinion. And I have math teachers who teach math, and then as a teacher trainer about pedagogic models that we have in Finland very well applied, they have said things like, when I ask them, okay, you have to be able to show the kid how you can apply this in real life, like mathematics, which is somehow quite basic.
Yeah.
And the teacher was, but I don't know how this applies in reality.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, so how do you think the kid will be motivated in your class?
Yeah.
So that's where we are, and that's like Europe and the world. But I do think that we have a lot to talk about also in the continuation and also off camera.
Covered a small portion.
Yeah, there's, we got deeper into the background, and that's, I think, a good start. But I would really love to talk more about specific topics and maybe relate them to potential courses.
Got it.
To educate the world.
Yes.
Regarding entrepreneurship,
practical
education, and real education, practical education.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tomi. Encantado. Hasta la próxima.
Un placer.
See you next time and have a good day.
Hasta pronto.
Ciao, ciao.